Welcome to the iPhoneography podcast. It is Monday, February 10th as we record this. And Dave is here, but he might be a little bit quiet because he's got some issues with his voice and whatnot. But we're going to try to make up for it by being the chatterboxes. So I'll bring in the first chatterbox, Mr. Dwight Roman. Hey, Dwight, how are you?
Hey, good, Greg. How you doing? Hi, everyone.
Pretty good. So if anybody's watching, how are you? Hopefully more people will tune in. But um, so I guess it's going to be you and I doing most of the talking, but we do have Dave here, and we'll bring him in. And I think he might be feeling this way because he did a run this weekend. Hello, David. How are you?
Hello, doing good. And actually, it isn't because of the run, because I felt this way a week ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought maybe the
And
run
now,
might have just kind of brought it on a bit.
it might, and actually, I had to run last weekend also.
Yeah.
So, and it could have been one run causing the other for all I know. It could, because it was last Tuesday, came out of the blue.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not painful.
No.
It sounds painful. And if I let my voice go kind of deep, yeah, I don't have any problems. But when I go
Yeah.
a much higher register, I don't know if vocal cords are swollen or something's back there where if the vocal cords have to, vibrate quickly, they can't do it. And I just kind of squeak out.
Yeah, well, we'll try not to get you too wound up, but
No problem.
leave your soapbox aside. Let's put it that way. So we won't rant about Apple and all this stuff. But what we will do is we will start off with uh, Dwight. You brought something to our attention here. It was either yesterday, I think it was, about Camera
Yeah,
Plus. Do you want
excuse me.
to kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I have the tendency to support apps when they come out. If there's a one-time buy, I'll take a look at it, and if it makes sense, I'll grab it to support the developers. And I did this a year or two ago. Probably more along the lines of 2 years ago with Camera Plus of Heavy Plum apps. It was a good app at the time, good camera app, and I bought a lifetime subscription to it. So I wanted to, help the developers with some capital up front. And just this week, I did an update, and now they want $6.99 a week to be able to access the app with, all the full features and stuff. And I was the first one to complain about it in the App Store under reviews. And ever since then, it's just, it's gone wildfire. So, yeah, I mean, $6.99 a week is roughly $360 a year for an average camera app, in my opinion. So, I have deleted that off my phone. I don't plan on using it any further. I think there are better camera apps out there. I don't really need the post processing capabilities of that app. I do that in other areas. So, Greg, I think you kind of share the same sentiments as I. I think you had a show on this a couple years ago on this particular app, and you were talking about how you know kind of juggling with getting the lifetime subscription. I think at that point.
Yeah. So excuse me. What happened a couple of years ago was Late Night Soft was the well, okay, so Tap 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 was the name of the developers that initially brought this app to life in the first place. And Jack Hollingsworth, he was kind of behind it in a creative sense, helping them, you know, with the creative design of this app, I guess. And so I think Tap 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 became Late Night Soft. I think they changed their name. I don't think they were sold to a company called Late Night Soft. I think they just changed their name. And at one point, it was like you, Dwight. I went with the lifetime thing, and because I was all in on it for a while, and I was kind of using some of the features and whatnot, and but also because of the podcast, it's one of those things that I figured, okay, I should have this. If we need to talk about it, I can look it up or whatever. Um, and Dave, we'll get to you on this too, because um, you've enjoyed some of the editing aspects of this app, but um, Late Night Soft, about two or so years ago, sold it to a company called Heavy Plum Apps, and Heavy Plum was they're not. I think they're more of a broker. I don't know. I guess they're a developing team as well, but um, it's kind of like the Focus app was purchased by, the name escapes me. I can't remember what it is, but they weren't the original developers. But anyway, so Heavy Plum, when they first got Camera Plus, they something happened. They changed it. I couldn't access all the features, even though I'd paid for them. Um, and I guess sometimes that's to be expected when somebody buys an app and they take it over. But I I even emailed them about this, and why can't I access this? I paid for this and blah blah blah. Well, they put an update out and it fixed it, and it took a while, but they finally did it. So okay, that's fine for a while. Now they just put another update out. I guess it was because of an update that now I go to use anything but the free stuff. I go to use the pro features, and that a big splash screen comes up, paywall, and I go to hit restore purchases, nothing happens. The screen flickers and nothing happens. So I don't, like you, Dwight. I deleted it. I'm done with Camera Plus, and because there are better apps out there. I mean, there's Reflex is my favorite, but there's Pro Camera. There's all kinds of different camera apps out there. I still have a lot of them on my phone, and you know they're still working fine. But with Camera Plus, it was the first app aside from Slow Shutter Cam, I believe, that had a long exposure thing. And I even wrote an article about it that was in Mobiography magazine. I was kind of proud of that accomplishment, and one of the first times I got published, really. And but if they're gonna jockey people around like that, I don't need it. So Dave, we'll go to you now, because you just recently have used Camera Plus and some features in the editing to, you know, do some of your magic that you do.
Yeah, and I haven't used Camera Plus as a camera app for a while, but I remember buying it back when it was available. Actually, it wasn't even the iPhone I got it on. It was the my iPod Touch that
Yeah.
I bought it for. And so I bought it back in 2010, 2011. So, it was early on, and it not only had long exposure, it had the stability.
Hmm.
So it actually would notice when the phone was jiggling. It would only take a picture when you were steady. So you could get better shots that way. And it had a lot more advanced features, and I liked UI. What they considered their HDR magic was kind of crappy.
Yeah.
But they did have some, especially for the time, advanced editing tools with their Clarity and their Clarity Pro at the especially when you're talking about going in a 3.5-inch screen. It was a pretty advanced editing for being early on, and I liked some of the filters they had, and it actually gave you a good preview of what the picture would look like after applying filters. You can apply multiple filters, and it was pretty nice. And I remember last year was like, oh, okay, you're charging. That's okay, whatever. Are you taking everything away? Are you taking some away? What's going on? And then with the latest update, I thought it was just a hiccup, just like they had last year. And I tried to, you know, access it, and I was like, okay, where's my restore purchase? And there was no restore purchase on that screen. It would not let you go, for at least for me, further in that first screen. And I'm like, well, I guess I lost it. I'll have
Hmm.
to, try to recreate some of the filters that I see other places, or do some, or use different filter apps or something like that to get some of the looks I liked from it.
Yeah, because a lot of those filters, I mean, when I did my 366 on Instagram, it was a leap year. That's why it was 366. I used a lot of those filters to, create some of the images that I posted that year. And that was back in 2012. So, I mean, that's a very filter heavy time for Instagram. Like people were really going crazy with that kind of thing. Um, so I don't know. It's too bad. It's too bad they have to be like that. Um, I don't know, and I'm not even going to give them a chance to fix it this time, like I did last time. Last time I was ready to delete the app and get rid of it completely, but I just kind of held on, waited till they got, responded and blah blah blah. But and where eventually then they did. They opened it back up again to people who were like basically grandfathered in. Um, I just don't think that's going to happen this time. And I kind of look at my usage of the app, and it's barely there. So
Yeah.
hasta la vista. And my picture just went fuzzy. Though there it is. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm using my phone, my 15 Pro Max for the picture here, and I just sometimes I lost it before we went live. But anyway, so it's a shame. If you're using Camera Plus, be prepared next time you open it. If you haven't seen it already, you could get this splash screen that says subscribe for the pro features or whatever. I think they're still giving you a trial, 7-day trial, I think, or 3-day trial, whatever it is. But they've kind of blown it for me. So
Yeah, just read the reviews.
yeah, exactly.
And also, I could see, let's say, if they want to go subscription only, a lesser amount, because it does have editing, it does have photos, but you're charging more than Adobe's charging. And
Yeah.
you're not even near close. I mean, you can get the mobile photographer thing through Adobe for I think $10 a month US.
You can. Yeah.
And you're getting amazing editing features and everything else, and what they're offering isn't even, it's not worth it. I
It
don't
would-
know if they're trying to kill the business and use it as a tax write-off. I
Could
don't
be.
know.
I mean, it was gonna if I was to subscribe to the weekly price for us in Canada, it would be over $500 a year. No app is worth that. None,
No.
in my
No,
opinion.
the value's not there.
Right. So I think, Dave, I think you might be onto something. I think they're trying to kill it and maybe write it off. I don't know, but I don't remember the last time it was updated. But yeah, I'm done with it. What about you? So Dwight and I have deleted it. Dave, have you deleted it?
I've deleted
Yeah.
it too,
Yeah.
but mainly because they couldn't open it
Yeah,
without
exactly.
going through the splash screen. So it's like, why even have it on my phone?
Yeah,
So, and the other thing is, and I will say this, there could be some apps that you would want to pay $500 a month for if it's a professional level app and you're using it as your primary business. So if you're someone who's a videographer and you're using an iPhone as part of your production and you're producing things that you can, either write off an app, saying, oh, I'm going to produce this video for, company A, and here's part of my bill of sales that I need this app, so this is going to be included, and they're paying for it.
yep.
But Camera Plus, it was never that high end. It was
Right.
a step above the building cap, but it was never, in terms of taking photos, it was never equal to a halide or a reflex.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And
editing, it was never
very
close to
like
anything
it was
else.
it was the most popular camera app back in the day, like when it first came on the scene and really started to get popular. It was, I think it was the number one for quite some time. But then other players come into the game like Pro Camera and they just started flowing in after that. But No, it's just too bad. Too bad that it has to go that way. And I like I said, and I think you said it too, Dwight. There's other ones out there, and they may not have an editing suite in it like Camera Plus does, but that's what other apps are for, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So that's the news on Camera Plus, and um, maybe it was just bound to happen at some point with this with these guys at Heavy Plum. So I really don't know
Mhm.
that much about them, and I'm not trash talking them. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to trash talk anybody, but what they're doing is that I hope there's a good reason for it. If there is, I don't know. It's
And I hope they're
uh,
successful, but it just doesn't fit, my workflow.
yeah, same here. Yeah. So okay, well, that's enough trash talking. If I guess if you want to call it that. So we're going to get to the topic of the show tonight, which is storing your photos. Um, this is something that I'm sure we've talked about it on here, before, either as a main topic or just in passing we've mentioned it. But um, there's a lot of different ways to store your photos, and we're going to touch on a few here. Dave, we'll get you to talk about this one first, and then you can rest your voice for a while. But Google Photos is a great way to store your photos, and I know you use it, so I'll let you
Huh.
talk on that one.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Yeah, I use it as a kind of a backup to iCloud. Also, you can, if you delete something from your iCloud library, it does not automatically delete it from Google Photos. So I started to use Google Photos over a decade ago, mainly because I had photos that weren't iPhone photos, and I had them saved on my computer, and I wanted a way to back them up off the computer. So I use Google Photos to put it basically in the cloud as a backup. And that's before really iCloud could easily import photos from a non, you know, before iCloud and the backup and everything else, Apple straightened it out. You can do it now, but Google Photos was just a lot easier. I also I do purchase the extra because it is a purchase. You don't you have to purchase, and I purchase a lot. Partially because I use it for one of my side jobs for storage, and if you pay for the little extra, you can actually get additional editing that Google offers with some of their photos on Android phones. So you can just kind of go into Google Photos, and it will put it put the one thing another thing I like is it gives you what they call a cinematic photo. So if you ever seen a photo where you have kind of the subject in front, it looks like it's a 3D image as the main subjects kind of getting bigger and the backgrounds kind of pivoting to give it a 3D look. It'll do that to your photo.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, it actually that's pretty nice, and it puts together. And like I said, there's some additional things which are available here. But you can do things like remove people in the background, which we have now, but that's something they've had for a while. And basically it's like a full blown editor that's in there, even including suggestions that you can do on here. So you can like a highlight video, make a collage out of it, different filters, very similar adjustments you have there. Different crops, different. You can like for suggestions is like magic eraser, a dynamic, enhance, warm, cool. So it's kind of a basic editor, if you will. And so it basically, and if you take a lot of shots which are really similar, it'll group them together. So it's a nice backup, and there's some additional features that's on top of it. Now, of course, it is Google, so you have to be comfortable with Google and putting it in the cloud and Google stuff that way. Also, remembering that if you do delete a photo in your iCloud, it will not delete from Google Photos. So you can run out of
Even with the
space.
free version?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, I mean, in a way, that's good because you could save up space on your phone and have the cloud as a backup.
Right.
But there's also the issue of, like I do clipping for a show, video clipping for a show called Fishing Without Bait. So the way I handle it is I do a screen recording of the YouTube channel and cut up little bits of the program and then post it on social media. Well, that video adds up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if I don't remember to delete the original video, which is 20 to 30 minutes of video recording, that could take up a lot of space. Or if you have a lot of videos, because unlike Apple, which is really great with saying, oh, we're going to convert this to height and we're going to make this smaller and you don't need as much space. Google just doesn't have that compression or however they're doing it. So I run out of space on my Google Photos a lot quicker than I do on my iCloud. So that is something to think about that way too, as a negative.
Yeah. So how much space comes with the free one? Is it 5 gigabytes or
I'm thinking it's 5.
if it is, I mean that's similar to iCloud, but
Right. Let me see here. So the okay. 15. So
oh,
if you
okay.
have any Google account, Gmail, basically have a Gmail account,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
includes 15 gigabytes of space. No
Okay.
cost. The standard plan is $30 a year, and that gets you 200 gigabytes.
That's not bad.
That's pretty good. The next step up is a 2 terabyte plan for $100 a year.
Cheaper than iCloud.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
And if you do that one, you get unlimited Magic Editor saves in Google Photos. You get some additional things and 10% back in the Google Store. So it gives you a little extra things on top of it.
Now, Dave,
Yeah.
does it automatically upload your photos to it from
It
your?
does, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I take a photo, it uploads it pretty immediately. If I take a video, it takes a little bit longer.
Sure. Does it upload it in the original resolution?
I believe so, yes. In
Okay.
fact, I think that's part of the issue
Yeah.
is that when I go to my Google Photos, let's see, I don't think I can tell
I think
easily how
I think
many
it's
photos I have.
the
but-
free version, I believe, is not completely full resolution and certainly no raw files.
Oh, no.
but
No,
if you-
I believe that, yeah.
If you pay for it, I believe you get full res uploads and storage, and then you can also get save your raw files there.
So, yeah, I mean, like I said, and the nice thing is, it is Google. So I know a lot of people sometimes have problems sharing things from iCloud, where maybe, you work with other people or you coordinate with other people who use more in the Google universe, especially the Office suite for the Google Docs, the Sheets. So it can be a big help for having it all together. And also, if you only want to do like the standard 15 gigs, that's not too bad. Or even really the 200 gig for $30 a year, which is annual. Now, if you want to do it monthly, it's $3 a month.
Yeah,
That's
that's pretty doable.
That's pretty reasonable. Yeah.
That's a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Plus, it is an additional backup. So if something happens and iCloud goes down or Apple has a major issue, which stuff happens, you have a backup, and it's
Yeah.
off-site.
Yeah.
It's
that's
like
right.
do not store. The backup is the one two is I forget, but it's like 3 different backups, 2 different locations. So yes, you can have, let's say, you're on your, of course, iCloud's kind of weird because you delete it where once it deletes it everywhere else. But let's
Yeah.
say you have your thing saved on a PC and you have it on your iPhone. Well, that's two things, but if they're in the same location and you get a fire, you get a flood, you get something else,
Hmm.
you need a separate location.
Yeah. Yeah. Two versions is a copy, three versions is a backup. And like you say, one of them's got to be off site. Yeah. So I mean, hey, if you're not afraid of storing stuff with Google, it's a great resource. Um, and it works with your Gmail account. So and I had it on my wife's phone a while ago. Um, before I think it was before I went up to the 2 terabyte iCloud plan, and her phone was filling up. She had the smallest version of the iPhone at that time, and so I got her set up with Google Photos, and she was able to keep her phone memory cleared out for the most part, and it works good that way. So we'll go on to iCloud Photos here. Dwight, what plan do you have for iCloud?
I have the 2 terabyte plan or two
Yeah.
gigabyte. Is it gigabyte or terabyte?
It's terabyte, yeah.
Terabyte, yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest one, and,
Yeah.
um, I've been on it for quite some time, and I never seem to run out of space, you know? Um, I always use optimized storage on my iPhone and on my Mac, so all the you know, most of the stuff is in iCloud. The full versions are in iCloud. On the phone, they're smaller, device-sized versions of it. And if you want to edit it, or say, like we're talking photos here, so if you want to edit a photo that if it's stored in iCloud and it's not really the full version is not on your phone, once you go to open it and do anything with it, it downloads it like really quick, and bang, now you have your full file and everything else. Um, so and the nice thing about iCloud is, with the 2 terabyte plan, I have 4 family members sharing that space. None of them will use nearly as much as I would as far as space goes. So again, I don't worry about it. I still have probably 3/4 of it or more available. So, and that's with all my pictures and videos that I've taken over I don't know how long, like whatever's in my iCloud photo library, and I have 2 of them on the go, I think. Maybe one of them is only actually put in iCloud, but anyway, um, but it keeps growing and growing and all that. So, but the caveat of iCloud photos is, like Dave said earlier, if you delete it off your phone, it's deleted from iCloud. iCloud is not a backup; it's a syncing service. So whatever's there goes my camera again. Whatever's on my iPhone will be on my Mac, and it'll be on either one of my iPhones. If I had an iPad, it would be there. I can access it through Apple TV, through the Photos app on Apple TV. Um, so everything's synchronized together. Uh, the the worst part about it is when you delete it, it gets deleted. So
Yeah.
um, it's it's a really good service, and I do enjoy it, but it's not a backup. Um, I'll get to how it gets backed up later, but Dwight, you got anything on iCloud you want to bring up?
Yeah, there's a few things, and I think you and Dave touched on it, and I was going to touch on it, and I wanted to reinforce that if you delete it off your phone and if you've dragged your photos over to iCloud, you delete it off your phone, they're going to be gone from there. And I learned the absolute hard way. Some
Mhm.
reason everything got messed up, and then I found that little photos library file, restored it, and brought all my pictures back, but they were completely out of sync. I happen to be, I do folders and categories and travel and places, and I drag all my photos into those folders, and so I had to spend about a week putting them back in there. So I
Oh yeah.
wish that if you created a folder on your phone, I think that iCloud should mirror that.
It would be nice.
It would be nice, but they don't. So my workflow is basically, and we should probably touch on this too, Greg. So if we have photos in our phone and we put them in a folder and then we grab them with an external editor, you're not getting the full resolution photo that way. And it took me up until about a year ago to realize that. I've been shooting in Pro Raw, I've been shooting in RAW, and I've been throwing everything in folders off to the side in my Apple Photos, and then I'd take them and I'd back them up into iCloud, and I've lost all the original resolution that way. They're not stored. It's a sync over to iCloud, so they're not stored in their original resolution. I didn't realize that till recently, and it's the same thing. I use another service as well as a backup, but yeah. So you have to. So my workaround for that is to AirDrop my photos directly to my PC and my Mac, and then if you drag those folders over to iCloud or whatever service you're using, it maintains the resolution. And I didn't know that until just a few months ago.
That's interesting. Dave's not on the screen. He said he'd be right back, so that's why it's just the two of us here. Yeah, that's interesting. So when I'm kind of jumping around here because I almost have to. When it comes to iCloud photos, the way I back them up, and I don't know how well this works, but I do know that in your iCloud photo library file on your Mac. So it's a live it's a iCloud photos dot photo library, I think is the name of the file.
Mm-hmm.
If you right click on that, you can say you can tell what's it say? It says
You can
show
export it,
container
back it up, right?
pardon?
You can show container where it's actually
Show
located in the library.
well, the show container, what that does is it opens it up in Finder.
Mm-hmm.
And what you get is a whole series of folders and subfolders and maybe even more subfolders. I don't know how deep it goes, but then the original image is in these folders, in this folder
Right.
tree.
Right.
But I don't know if every single thing that goes into the library file goes there because, like I say, it's stored in iCloud, right? It's on the
Mm-hmm.
servers. Um, but what I do is because I have Backblaze, which is an online backup service, it backs up those container files. And if I dig deep into my backup on Backblaze's website, they're there. So they're actually being stored offline or off-site in on a server through Backblaze, which is a service that I pay for. Um, and so I'll never lose them. Even if, I guess the only way I would lose them is if something happened to my iCloud library and uh, I'm not sure how long they stay in those container folders. I know this is really sounding convoluted, but so there's a way, and again, I'm not 100% sure on all of this because all I know is that there's these container folders or container files that contain all the stuff that's in the uh, iCloud Photos library file on the Mac. Um, I'm gonna have to research that, and I maybe should have done that before this episode, but yeah, but we'll get more on Backblaze after.
Well,
But
great,
so,
Greg. Oh, real quick.
yep,
Now, does it upload? Is it continually upload, or does it
Mm-hmm.
upload like Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like, okay, we're uploading now, so here's your files as of this time. Like Time Machine did.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
For those of us who use like Apple, who familiar with Apple's Time Machine, where it backs up like every day, so you can say, okay, my computer crashed completely. I want to go back to the way it was yesterday, and just do
Right.
like a boom. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think Backblaze does versioning like that. Um, if I'm working on, say, a Pages document and I save it, okay, that's in Backblaze, and then the next day, if I go in and work on that again, I mean, it's just gonna save on Backblaze. It's gonna basically make sure that that file is what's on their server. So I don't think I can go do versioning when I bring it back. I think it's just going to be whatever the latest version is. Um, and I might as well get into Backblaze a bit now. But the thing about Backblaze too is it's not an archiving thing. It's just a backup. So if you delete a file from your computer, in time, it will be deleted from Backblaze's servers, but it takes quite a while. Like I want to say at least 30 days. Um,
Well,
the
actually,
idea is that if you if you have an external hard and it does external hard drives, if you have an external hard drive that crashes, and this happened to me last year, um, you can go in and download the contents of that external drive and put it on another one. But if you leave it too long, I think you'll end up losing it. But they give you plenty of notice. Like if um, even if you unplug that hard drive for so long, it'll say you haven't backed up this hard drive recently. Like you'll get an email. Plug your external drive in to start backing up now or whatever. So it's pretty good that way. Um, Sorry, Dave, were you gonna say something
yeah,
there?
yeah. Well, actually, I brought up Backblaze's website, and it says here restored old versions up to 30 days, 1 year, or forever. So I'm assuming there are different price points. That you can do
Yes.
like a 30-day, and it's so much. If you want to do forever, it's going to be pretty expensive. But if you're a business or if it's mission critical, it's worth it.
You know what? With my account, I pay so much per gigabyte that I have stored. Um, and it's not that much for the one that I have. I
Yeah.
must have like, the second tier from, there's like basically three tiers there. I think I've got the second tier. I'm not sure.
Well,
But you
it
know what?
also the nice thing is it says download for free, or if you have a very large amount, terabytes of data,
Right.
they'll ship. They said we'll ship it with the cost, I imagine, but we'll
Right.
just
Yes.
ship the drive to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good that way. Um, yeah, I wouldn't be without it. Losing that hard drive last year is case in point. There was probably there was probably well over 100 gigabytes of stuff on that drive, and I just went to the Backblaze and downloaded it. I didn't ask, I didn't order a hard drive with the contents on it because I was able to um, download it onto another external drive because my computer hard drive is only 256 gigabytes, and even right now it's only got about 80 or 90 free. Um, so I plugged in a new external drive and I just downloaded the contents to that drive, and Bob's your uncle. It was done.
There you go.
So, but we were going to talk Backblaze later, a little later on the agenda here, but we kind of jumped into it. So, that's the gist of how Backblaze works. And once you have it set up, you forget about it. It just does everything in the background. It doesn't affect my bandwidth. I mean, I got a really good internet connection, mind you, but it's you can have it. You can set it to ignore certain types of files, like like a say a DMG file, or Yeah, DMG, is that the so if you download an app, um, it comes in a DMG file, whatever. And usually they're pretty big. You can have it skip those, or even video files. If you don't want to back up video files to it, you can skip. You can put like .mov or .m4 MP4. You can check those boxes to forget those types. It does. I don't know how many. I think it's unlimited backup. So I've got 3 or 4 external drives going as well as my main computer drive. So, everything's backed up. Um, if you like I think it was Leo Laporte said, if you don't back it up, you can't get it back. So it's a really good thing to have. I wouldn't say it's exactly dirt cheap by any means, but I always ask myself, how valuable is my data, right? It's
Mhm.
something I don't want to lose. So, uh, Dwight, do you have a backup service? I think you said you had a backup service that you use.
Well, I had Backblaze and I let it run out, but I may look back into it again. What I normally do, kind of my workflow is I'll take my photos, I will airdrop them to my PC, and then what I'll do is, okay, on my phone, I will put the photos, I'll go through them, I'll delete the ones that I don't want, and then I'll put the photos in the category. Say, if it's San Clemente, I'll put them in my San Clemente folder. And then what I'll do is I'll take them and I will export them. Well, I used to just export them to iCloud in the same folder that I created for iCloud. The problem with that is that I lose my original resolution by doing it that way. So the new way of doing it for me is I will airdrop them to the PC, and then I will open up a Finder file and I'll drag them over to the appropriate folder in iCloud, and then it preserves the original resolution that way. And then I'll open up a website for pCloud, which is my service that I use, but it's manual. So I'll drag them from my iCloud folder over to pCloud. So it's just a manual process. I kind of go, I touch 3 places, and then, once a month I'll drag everything to 2 additional external hard drives for redundancy. So it's time consuming a little bit, but I'm super paranoid of losing my photos and having to go through the menagerie that I did a couple of years ago that just drove me crazy, having to take bulk photos from 30 years and remaking folders and categorizing them and stuff. But a little bit about pCloud is it's been very good. I mean, you buy, say, 2 gigs. If you buy 2 gigs of storage, you own that for life. So I don't pay for it anymore. So every Black Friday, I might jump on an additional 2 gigs. So I'm up to 8 gigs now, so of storage. And if you make a mistake on that, it has a rewind feature, so you can rewind to, you want it to be like it was a week ago. So you pick that date, and then it just kind of restores, how it was a week ago
Oh,
in
that's
case you
cool.
made some kind of mistake.
It's kind of like Time Machine.
Yeah, it's like Time Machine, but it's I've been really happy with pCloud, and they just fixed it so the upload speeds are a lot quicker, and they do have kind of a sync feature, like Dropbox does. I don't know if you're familiar with Dropbox, but you can download
Mhm.
kind of that little module that monitors your activity on your PC and then automatically syncs it with Dropbox, kind of on a loop. So if you delete something on your PC, it deletes it off of Dropbox, and so it's just kind of working as a mirrored hard drive. pCloud has the same thing, but I had some bad experiences with that. I think it was actually deleting some files. So for me, I'm just kind of manually dragging everything over and just doing it that way.
Yeah. When you say you were dragging it into an iCloud folder, is that like a folder on your Mac in Finder just called iCloud, or are you talking about into the Photos app?
So what I'll do is in the Photos app, I will just drag them to the folders that I want. So I have them on my phone. If I'm showing somebody pictures of San Clemente or, Laguna Beach, I really don't care what the resolution is on my phone. So
Right.
when I airdrop it to my computer, I'll do it to download folder or a desktop folder, and then
Mhm.
I will open up the Finder, right? And then I'll open up another Finder window next to it. I'll take those photos, I'll grab them all, and then I'll drag them to the iCloud folder that I have set up in the same category. So if it's, San Clemente, I'll grab all of those. I'll go, which is from my desktop, and I'll bring it down to the iCloud folder for San Clemente down here. So now,
In photos?
no, in Finder.
Oh.
So
Wait.
So I have
Wait,
two
wait, wait,
Finder
wait.
windows open. So you can take it from the desktop on the one over here and then drag it down to the one down here where it has your iCloud directory,
Yes,
right?
okay. I was confused there for a second. So, yeah, there's basically your iCloud Drive, right?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay. I was thinking you were taking them and putting them back into photos for some
No,
reason,
no, no.
and it
And then
was
once
it
I
was
have
able
them,
to preserve the file size and stuff, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean now, yeah.
yeah. So and then once I have them in iCloud, I'll grab them, and then pCloud is just a website. I'll navigate to my Laguna Beach folder or whatever it is. I'll grab them from here, and I'll just drop them right in there, and then it uploads them in the original format.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so the thing with iCloud Drive, though, is I guess eventually they upload and it saves spaces on your computer, right? Like they're in iCloud Drive.
If you don't download originals,
Yeah,
then
if you
it saves space on your computer.
yeah, like optimized storage or something like that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But if you don't have that, it keeps the full resolution or the full file. I've got a gig on this thing, so I've got what 40 or a I have terabyte. Yeah, terabyte hard drive, and I've got what 40 gigs of photos, so it's not interfering with that. So I just keep them at full res on my computer.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's giving me things to think about here now as far as how I do it. Um, because I've been thinking recently about maybe archiving my pictures the old way. Back when I had a Canon DSLR, I would take the card and I would plug it into the computer, and I would offload from the card onto the computer into folders, and you know by date, whatever, by location, that sort of thing. And I'm thinking about maybe trying that with my iPhone stuff. I do that now with raw files. Now that you've got me shooting raw for or more, um, so what I do is I drag them into a folder, and then I've got an app called Hazel. Have you ever heard of Hazel?
I
It's a
haven't,
really
no.
cool it's a really cool utility that you can tell it to do certain things, to monitor certain folders. So I've got it monitoring this folder where I drag the raw files in, and then it'll automatically put it in subfolders by date. So I've
Okay.
got like a whole list of subfolders going by date, 2025 01 07, for January 7th, say, and so on. Um, I don't have them by location or by subject matter because sometimes I might spend, you know, a day shooting here and then going over there and shooting there and doing this and doing that. So it's just by date for now. But so I'm thinking about doing that with all my photos though, so that I can, um, and it uses the same amount of space in my 2 terabyte plan that we have.
Right.
Um, that's iCloud. That's your iCloud storage, right? And that's where
Hmm.
the iCloud photos are stored. So um, I've got lots of space there. I don't see why I couldn't do this. It's just
Yeah.
getting myself to do it right. It's getting myself in gear to kind of set that up. Um, and then it would certainly keep space cleared on my phone. But really, I don't need to worry about that because I still have all kinds of space on my phone because I'm not keeping full res versions on the devices. They're in iCloud. Um, so I think it would only be the only reason I would do that is because I want to maybe, put things by location and by date and that sort of thing. But, Photos does a good job of organizing that kind of behind the scenes.
If you
You know,
want, I can take 60 seconds and show you my workflow if I share my screen. It's super easy.
well, let's
Down the
do that
road
at
if you
the
want.
end of let's
Yeah.
do that at the end of
Okay.
the video version of the show. That way I won't have to cut it out of the audio because people in the audio won't be able to see it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we'll do that after for sure. And I think there's only one other backup strategy that we were going to mention, and that's Amazon Photos. Does anybody use that? Do you guys use that at all?
I do. The problem with me is it's just a data dump. And then I've got to go through each one and recategorize it in a folder. I just can't stand looking at everything without it being organized. But it's good. I mean, it's a decent service. So I guess it doesn't hurt to have it on, so you don't, it's just additional redundancy.
Yeah, yeah. You're
Now
you're breaking up
it's
there a little bit, but
well,
you're back there now. So go ahead, Dave.
well, yeah. Let me ask. I'm not using it, but is it free with Prime, or you get a small amount free, and then you have to get more tiers, or do
It's
you know?
free
Right.
unlimited with Prime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like you said, it's a good, if you want to just have a dump for backup,
And you can
you know.
create folders and all that stuff.
Okay.
It's just a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, if you just say, "Hey, I'm going to start from today and create folders going forward," that's probably great.
yeah, yeah. So there's options, right? There's options out there for storing your photos. Um, I guess you gotta have to do a bit of homework and see which one's best for you. Um, for me, definitely Backblaze is a good option. Again, because I lost a hard drive and I was able to just get it back, no problem. I've been using online backups for years, and uh, Backblaze just recently renewed, I think sometime in early January, but I don't remember what it cost me. I can't remember. But again, worth every cent, right? Because I don't just keep pictures on my computer. I keep all kinds of different files, right?
Hmm.
Stuff for taxes, all this stuff. So all that stuff is important. And if if a hard drive crashes, and that's the best case scenario, there's a lot worse things that can happen. But if my hard drive crashes, everything's off site. Um, there was a movie director, I think it was Martin Scorsese, who had his stuff on a computer and he didn't have it backed up and he lost everything, scripts. And this is years and years ago. I don't know how long ago this was. This was quite a while ago. But he lost all kinds of stuff for projects he was working on. So I think about that. And I think, golly, I got to get, when I heard that, I thought I got to get a strategy going here. And, I'm glad I do. So, um, any final words on storing photos, guys, that you can think of?
Back it up or you
So
lose it.
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Um, and remember, uh, a copy isn't a backup. You got to
Yeah.
have three before you can say it's a backup. And always, always, always do something off-site, even if it's just loading up a hard drive and storing it at somebody else's place, at work, whatever. Uh, in fact, in my locker at work, I've got a stack of DVDs with stuff on them, old pictures and stuff on them from my Canon days. That brings up a good point. If you store it on media like that, like a DVD, there's nothing saying the DVD can't go corrupt either. Um, and there's also the fact that, I mean, back in the day, they used floppy disks. They used uh, whatever they used. The stuff, these things change over time, right? If you're entrusting your data to a company like Backblaze, say, um, it's up to them. They have a moral obligation, I guess you could say, to keep their stuff up to date so that you can access it no matter what technology is out there, no matter what kind of computers you have, whether it's like an Intel based computer or an M series Apple computer or whatever, PC, Windows, it don't matter. Um, they have that, they're obligated, since you're paying them to store that stuff and keep it for you. They've got to keep it up to date so that you can access it no matter what, no matter what the technology is. So if you're just storing stuff on DVDs or CDs or whatever, or even thumb drives, whatever, hard drives, you've got to be mindful that technology changes over time, and it's a pretty good idea to make sure that everything's going to work. So I'm starting to think now about these DVDs I got in my locker at work. I've got to start maybe bringing a few home at a time and trying them out and making sure they're still fine. Because one corrupt DVD I could lose a whole series of important pictures. I don't know how many I've got in there, but there's a lot. So
yeah, it's a little bit off topic, but I have about 500 CDs for music, and I spent probably 3/4 of a year ripping those to Apple lossless and getting them in a digital format, and I store those in pCloud as well. That took me a really long time to do that, but I know that at some point that if I lose them, in a flood or some other reason, I still have a digital lossless copy that I can listen to.
And how many new cars nowadays are coming with a DVD player or a CD player?
Right.
Very, very, very few.
Yeah.
That's right. So
you can plug in your hard drive and play your music, right from your car now. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, while we were talking and about Amazon Photo, I downloaded it and I'm uploading my photos to it now.
Okay.
I have you get 5 gigs of video and unlimited photos.
Right.
So
I
I'm
should
kind of
mention
curious. I'm kind of curious to see how many videos it'll let me upload because I don't know how many I have. But it says I have 42,000 items remaining.
Yeah, it'll just stop uploading your videos once it hits that 5 gig.
Yeah. Well, so I think you, Dave, and I think Matt Hoffman is using Amazon Photos to back up his stuff too. But I've never really had a chat with him to see, how he likes it and how much he uses it, that type of thing. But so we've kind of gone over a bunch of different ways to back up your photos. So do your homework and see which one's going to work best for you, and definitely get them backed up.
Yeah, I will say one other thing about Amazon Photos: the folder structure and how they're presented and everything looks really beautiful on your iPhone. In my opinion, a lot better than Apple Photos.
Oh, really? So it's a well-designed interface.
Well-designed interface, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So you're using it, are you?
Well,
or you were?
Not right now. I feel like I just have enough kind of backups going on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you can never have enough, but I mean, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Like, you can only do so much, right? And then it becomes, monotonous or whatever. But okay. Well, I think we'll move on to our recent photos, and I've got them ready to go in a, I think, as they come in, or they were alphabetical order. Anyway, I renamed them, and I'm going to end up being first. But so if, people watching the video, either now or after the fact, you'll be able to see them right here. And if you're listening to the audio, you'll be able to look at your phone and your podcast player, except Spotify. It doesn't do it as far as I know. And you'll be able to see the pictures that we're talking about. They even show up in CarPlay. Don't look at them on CarPlay. But one thing I noticed recently is that on Apple TV, if you're listening to a podcast in the podcast app, the Apple Podcast app and Apple TV, you can see them there. However, if you're just letting it play and it comes time for one to show up, it doesn't show up until you pause it and play it again. Then it shows up. So if you have Apple TV and if you watch or listen to the show on there, you can even see them there. So that's pretty cool. All right, so I guess we'll start with my first one here, and this is one I took recently, just maybe 2 days ago. We were walking the dogs down by the harbor, and this is this is across the harbor, so you can pretty well guess I use my reflex 240 millimeter lens on a tripod, and I used the Reflex Pro camera app and the long exposure feature in it. I didn't use reheld. I didn't use re-expose. It obviously it just shoots a JPEG. It doesn't give me a raw file. But I mean, I don't think it's going to be a portfolio piece or anything. So, and I did it in black and white in post processing here, because there wasn't a ton of color in the image, and when I just toggled black and white, I really liked what I saw. So I just kind of moved a few sliders around, and I mean it's a gray building, right? It's just a gray building to begin with. So it's the grain elevators in town, and that's a condo complex in the background. But this building, these green elevators, I think, are the most photographed structure in Owen Sound in the area, like in the area here, because there's a lot of ways you can photograph it, and different ways you can have different backgrounds depending on where you are. So it's just a staple, an architectural staple of this area, and the reflection is what caught my eye. So I wanted to smooth out the reflection, so I made it a 30-second exposure, and bang, there it is.
Yeah, and the reflections really great. And if you're looking at this, can zoom in on the second one from the right, you can see the steps, and not really steps, but the ladder that someone takes to go up to the top. How it's staggered, so you can see where I imagine that's like where it's probably melting. The snow was melting and just kind of made the concrete wet, kind of
Yeah.
dripping down. So you can see where you go up, you go over, you go up, you go over, you go up, you go. It's like a fire escape, like from New York City.
Yeah, I think that's basically what it is, Dave, is a fire escape.
Okay.
But yeah, I wish I'd have shot this raw, because I can't get the crisp, sharp detail I could
Yeah.
with a raw file. But so I mean, I did sharpen it a bit, but yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because the streaks that come down, I think that's probably from melting snow. I'm not sure.
Yeah, to get a raw file, you would have had to use even longer, I think. I don't know if you have
Even
that
longer
one.
or re-expose. Yeah.
Yeah.
They both would have given me a raw file.
But I mean, even JPEG, like if you look at the condos and behind it, you can zoom in and get pretty clear. Like you said, that's the advantage of having a physical lens and not just assuming not just using the digital. Because I like the fact that the condos also have that repeating look about it, both vertically with each condo lined up, and then horizontally with the not the patios, but the balcony from each one.
Yeah, that building was designed so that you have a view looking out on the bay from any one of them, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah,
Y-
I mean, this is great. I'm a sucker for good black and white. And one of the first things I that caught my eyes, if you look at that on the far left of the silos there, it almost looks like a gentleman standing there doing something with a tie on. But when you zoomed in on the fire escape, yeah, right there.
Right there.
Yeah, doesn't that look like somebody standing there? But then when you come in, you can see that it's not somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back out, it looks like somebody standing there with a tie on doing something. But no, hey, that's great symmetry, and I love how the motion effect rendered, especially on the condos on the left. I mean, it was perfectly straight up and down.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. That must have been a really quick exposure.
It was 30 seconds.
I, I'm just.
Was it a
I'm trying to think of how does it get
let's
so
say,
straight like
yeah,
that.
I mean, was it a calm day? And because there's no ripples in the water at all.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of water movement really. I mean, I might have been able to stop it at 15 seconds, but I set it for 30 seconds and just let it run.
Yeah, you would think there'd be some kind of offset there, but it's really neat. It's just ribbons just coming down, straight down.
Yeah, and I did a couple of vertical shots to get the whole reflection in because at the very bottom of those pictures you could see the shore in front of me, but there was a couple of you know shrubs with no leaves or anything on them, and they weren't really. I just didn't think it fit the
Mm-hmm.
composition very well, so
Yeah,
I went with this one here, and this is completely uncropped.
that's a
So
good one.
And I
yeah,
mean
it
that is
was.
that is also a good tip for people is, if you're taking a photo of something, take vertical and horizontal shots
Yeah.
because you're never quite sure, you know, which, like I said, the vertical one you may have liked the reflection, but there was stuff in the front. But you can take the shot at least and see if it makes a difference. And sometimes you can do editing on things, and bushes are really still hard to take care of.
Yeah.
But if it's a single solid item, you can use like a touch retouch or the magic eraser if you wanted to get rid of it. And
Hmm.
sometimes it works really good and you wouldn't even know if something was there originally.
Yeah. Yeah. I might play around with the verticals just to see what they're like. If they turn out okay, then I'll post them too. But
If I went
yeah,
back to that scene with you, Greg, I'd have to get really low and get my camera really close to the ground. Still pick up some of the reflection, but try it from different viewpoints, up and down.
yeah,
I'm assuming there
yeah.
was a good amount of snow where you were standing too.
So
Yeah, my knees would have locked up probably.
yeah, because of the cold.
Yeah.
um, yeah, there was a like so where I was standing was there was a walkway that kind of went up a hill and then down like this and then headed towards the left of the frame there. Um, but it hasn't been maintained. In the summertime, it's a beautiful walking and biking paved pathway. But this time of year, it's designated as a snowmobile trail. But it was the only place that was like packed down enough that you can walk on it. So we walked on it and we took the dogs out there and we had to move out of the way a couple of times for snowmobiles, but they only go really slow at this area anyway. So it wasn't too bad. But I was able to go to a certain part and I actually didn't go right to the top of the incline. I stayed back a little bit to try to see what the foreground would be like. But had I crouched down, um, I don't know. I'd have to look at the verticals to see how much that would have changed the composition. But yeah, like that's another great tip there, Dwight, is to different angles, high, low,
Hmm.
and all that stuff, right? So not everything works at eye level for sure.
Yeah.
So um, so now we will go to. If I can get to it. There it is. Yeah. Okay, Dwight, you're next.
Yeah, so this is an example of things that I like to do with my photos. This is the Cove House down in La Jolla Cove in San Diego. And I love going here for coffee when I'm in the area. And I took it and had some neat colors. So I just did kind of a an art piece with it, and um, I mess with the colors a little bit and use some textures over it. Those lights weren't lit, so I added those lights
Oh,
in
really?
I think in relens. I think relens or
Lens
uh,
distortions?
no. Um, yeah, I think it's relens. I think is what it is. Yeah, you can
Oh,
add
yeah.
lights, and that's one of the things I learned when I was studying, photo manipulation and stuff like that. But I would take textures and overlay them, on top of each other and manipulate them. I actually added the birds up in the top up there flying as well.
Mhm.
Um, just played around with it. So that's just an example of doing some art with photo manipulation, which is, one of my favorite hobbies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, and I think Greg would agree. The lights look like they're natural.
Yeah.
They were just there, and maybe adjusted a little bit to be a little brighter, but that's it. I mean, the way it handled that and gave the glow around it to make it look like an actual light, and not just make it yellow, but give it a glow and have the glow kind of fade out. That was great. And let me ask you, was the teal color and the red color, was that the actual color that was there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't mess with the hue on that. The app I used, I think, for the lights was Alien Sky.
I remember hearing about that a while back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's cool. I love the colors and whatnot. And the fact that you only lit up 2 bulbs instead of, I see, like 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe.
Hmm.
I think that's kind of a cool thing too. It puts you, I don't know what time of day it was you took it. I'm assuming it was like in like afternoon or something,
No,
but it puts
it
you,
was early morning.
was it? Okay. It
Hmm.
it puts it puts me at dusk.
Sure.
That's the time of day that I see, like, in this image.
Hmm.
It's almost like the coffee place is about to close, because there's nobody there, and the lights are on, and it's gonna get dark, and it's outdoors, and that's kind of what I get out of this.
And
But
that's kind
I
of the
like
vision I think I had for it,
yeah,
Greg, is, when I do stuff like this, I want to tell a story, and
yes,
I think
exactly.
that, that's kind of it. There's birds being free, there's nobody there. It's just kind of, a solemn scene, and it's I like the good vibes only. It's really, really chill area down there. So
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. The textured look is really interesting. It just makes you think that you can put this on canvas and it would just turn out
yeah,
perfectly.
one of these days I'd like to do a demonstration. I don't know if I can connect an iPad to this show, but I can do something like this pretty quick, for
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
audience
you'd be able to connect one.
if they're interested. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
Yeah, let
cool.
us know if you're interested. I can do, some really cool stuff to just get people started, on their iPads and um, do some really neat stuff.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a separate type of episode where it's just that and
Hmm.
not our regular content, and
Yeah.
then we could put that out. Yeah, we'll talk about that offline sometime and see what we can come up with. I think that's a pretty cool idea. Yeah. So this one, Dave, I thought this
Sure.
was interesting.
No, thanks. And now, before we go on to my photo, from Gary from the YouTube chat, Greg, about your image, great repetition makes a power image.
Ah, oh,
And,
thank you.
and he said, Dwight, you mastered manipulations. Additions look natural. Liminal space feeling.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I mean, another note on that, just real quick. Um, this is all my photos, right? All my textures. When I'm walking down the street and I see a wall, I'm gonna take a picture of that wall because I can use that as an overlay, on some of these things. And I've done a lot of photo competitions worldwide on stuff like this where somebody gives me a subject matter and then I can build around it whatever I want. And in one of my demos, I'll do that. But I've kind of gotten away from that because of this whole AI scene. So, if somebody has a tiger and they say, okay, photo competition is the tiger, now do something with it. Well, people are saying, okay, with AI, they're saying put this tiger in a forest next to a cabin
Mm-hmm.
at night, make it look spooky, and it just looks like a pro did it. It's not even raw anymore. So I'm not doing it that much anymore, and I'm really trying to kind of focus on still creating my own style.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I can't wait to get this special episode on the go here sometime. So Dave,
Yep.
tell us about this one. This is cool.
Sure. This was actually taken on a run, and it was a little bit when it was starting to warm up and the snow was melting, and this is a road. There's a bit where it's more of a back road and it's still gravel, but people's houses are right off of this, and you can see the giant literal pothole that got filled in with the puddle. And as I was running past it, because it was a blue sky and it was a great day, the reflection in the puddle was just great. Now I did do editing to kind of bring out the blue and emphasize the reflection a little bit more, because when you're looking at it, it wasn't as bright as it was shown. But the reflection you see in the puddle is a real reflection from when you're there.
Yeah.
I did have to get at a pretty decent angle. So you kind of have to get a really shallow angle, kind of get far enough away where it'll act like a mirror. So you can't be directly down on the puddle per se. But yeah, it's just, and I like the house in the background. So it gave a kind of a back there, and you can see a little bit of the blue sky. And I just like the look here, and this is one of these things where you don't see, you probably wouldn't notice this if you were driving. This is something you have to be kind of on the ground, taking your time, looking down. And I was looking down to make sure I wouldn't trip and fall, to really notice what's going on.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I kind of like you have a different hue in the puddle as compared to the sky, but it balances out because of the warmthness of the structure in the background. So that's an interesting shot, and then the warmthness in the clouds in the foreground kind of tie it all together. But I think that's a really cool angle and a nice pickup with your eye there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And Gary says, great lead in, Dave. The puddle leads you right into the photo. You've captured the magic light. Yeah, absolutely. So something I learned recently about reflections, and I learned this from Gavin Hardcastle. He goes by Photo Tripper on YouTube, is that reflections, whatever's reflected, is always darker than whatever is being reflected. So that kind of almost to me would look natural with that blue in the puddle. Maybe it wasn't as dark as that in the reflection, like in the original image, but it's, to me, that means it's okay that way. It's okay to have that reflection looking a little more saturated, possibly a little darker than what the sky actually is, at least the sky that we can see in the frame. But I mean, that street, that looks a lot like what we have in my town, which is why I have a four-wheel drive off-road vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
But the warm colors at the top of the frame from the sun, they're really nice too, and they complement each other. The blues and the oranges and that, they really complement each other in this frame or in this image, and perfect placement of the puddle, I think, like Gary said, it leads you right in. It takes your eyes right through the puddle, up to the house. Look around the background a bit, but then come back down, and it's another one of those shots where it just keeps your eye flowing around. So, um,
Yeah, that's really cool. I've got a photo tip. I've learned this, but I haven't done it yet. Next time you're walking around and you see something really cool and you have a water bottle, go ahead and go to your nearest drinking fountain or whatever, pour it on the ground, and then get your camera lens really low to the ground, and it'll pick up the reflection of what you're looking at.
oh yeah,
And that I've seen some killer shots that way, and I want to try that. I just keep forgetting to do it. You actually turn
yeah,
your phone upside down, get it right down at the bottom. You're practically on your stomach, and you just take a series of shots. So I'm going to try that soon.
yeah, just
Yeah.
just like that.
Just like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the iPhone will automatically adjust, so you won't have to worry about upside down photos either.
Right.
yeah, that's right.
Now,
Yeah,
now I'll say just keeping an eye out for natural puddles and natural reflections. That's a great one also.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
One person who I follow on Instagram goes by the handle of City Life Adventures, and one of her things is finding reflections
Hmm.
in puddles. So, if after a range, her job is professional photographer. So some of them are iPhone photos, some of them are DSLR photos, but she'll use the reflection to get like the buildings and skyline in the reflection, bridges in the reflection. So it kind of gives you, oh, okay, I can look here to see what kind of photo I can get.
And what's the name of
Hmm.
that?
Sure. City Life Adventures.
Okay.
Her name is Carla Cardello.
Okay. Thank you.
And Dale's in the house, Dale Otherington,
Hey, Dale.
and yeah, that's exactly what Dwight just said, Dale. So a great tip for sure. Um, yeah, so that's a good one. Um, oh, okay, we're back to me, and
Oh,
this
I know
is
this one.
yes. So there's two ships in this picture. The bright lights at the far end of the reddish colored ship. That's another ship, but it's basically looking straight towards me. Um, I wanted to see if I can get them both in the shot. Uh, it was extremely cold, so I kind of just played around with this angle here. Um, so yeah, I shot it raw. They're here for the winter, these two ships. So I'll have more opportunities, I think, to see what I can get. I love that they have the lights on in the um, whatever that thing is called that goes up, their quarters and all that stuff. And yeah, so I shot it raw, and Dwight knows this one because I sent him the file to play around with it, and we both kind of did an edit on it and then compared them, and I kind of liked some elements that he did, and I liked some elements that I did. So, in the finished product, I think it's kind of a mix between what we both did, and it's a great way to learn is through collaboration. Um, uh, and yeah, Gary says his favorite subjects are objects at night. Nice capture. Thank you very much, Gary. Um, yeah, so it was a fun exercise for both of us, and because Dwight doesn't get to edit snow much.
I get really excited when Greg drops a photo in for me because I love editing.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing is too is Dwight was using Photoshop, and I was using Affinity Photo. Um, so I mean, I don't think there's any limitations to Photoshop, but with Affinity Photo, there's some limitations compared to Photoshop. Some ways of doing things that are different. Something I haven't figured out yet is how to do a radial a radial or a gradient mask. Um, it's so simple in Photoshop and Lightroom, but in Affinity Photo, it's completely different, and I that's something I got to figure out. But But
Well,
anyway,
let's have one
yeah.
of our working sessions. We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll get to it. Um, but yeah, it's a the ships down there are really cool to photograph day or night, and I'll be doing it some more for sure. This might be the same boat that I did when Reflex first came out with the long exposure feature in the Reflex Pro camera app. I think this is the ship that was there. I was on the same side of the harbor as the boat, and I was way down by the front of it. And I looked up, and I did a long exposure of the clouds swooping by like this, and it really turned out cool. So I think it's the same ship. It was the same color anyway. But yeah, fun stuff to shoot.
Yeah, and definitely the ice makes a nice foreground. I'm assuming that snow over iced.
Yep, and
Okay.
those are footprints. People have been out there walking on it. I don't think it's that thick yet, but
Yeah, we had someone not this weekend but last weekend at one of the lakes around here. The one I had the race on last week, and there was a person ice fishing on that lake. And I'm thinking, now they weren't too far away from the shore, maybe 10 feet or so, but
mhm.
still, they were just sitting there on a stool on the lake, and that lake could not have been that thick. I know it was cold, but I don't think it was that thick.
Well, I think if it's 4 inches, I think that's heavy enough or that's thick enough to go out
Yeah.
on foot. But I think it needs to be thicker for like snowmobiles or ATVs.
Oh yeah.
I mean, people this there's been times where the ice here has been like a foot thick, and you could probably drive on it at that point. Um, Myself, no. I'm not. I don't even want to walk on this stuff because I don't know. I don't know what the threshold is. So better safe than sorry, I say. But yeah, that's a couple of ships in the ice and fun to shoot. And Dwight, we got the underside of a pier.
Yeah, this is the San Clemente Pier, obviously in San Clemente, and it was a nice night for a sunset shot. I believe I did take this one on a tripod, and I believe it was the Reflex app. I did do some long exposure shots, but this one wasn't. But I thought it turned out okay, just where the sun was positioned relative, um, to the structure. I thought it worked the composition out
Hmm.
pretty well. I did do some dodging and burning underneath the pier, more dodging just to bring out some of the light underneath there. It was pretty dark. Um, I don't think it was true black, but it was. I could bring out some of those shadows just a little bit for some depth. Other than that, just a pretty basic edit. And when the raw file was a little bit green, so I did up the tint just a tad just to kind of get it more towards what I remember in the scene. So anyway, it's a nice place to take photos on a nice sunset night.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think we lost your audio there, Dave.
Yep. I
There
actually
we go.
unmuted and I forgot to unmute. So
Okay.
no problem. Thanks. Sorry everyone. Yeah, just the way, like I said, the underside of the pier, it's not overly, because cameras tend to over sometimes light dark areas, and you want it enough where it's maybe not, unless you want to do a silhouette, you probably want it enough just to see a little bit, but you don't want it to be like there's a spotlight underneath.
Right.
And just having enough here that you can see they're wooden planks, and the actual planks kind of adding to the leading lines.
Yeah, if I didn't do some dodging in there, then it would have just been kind of a black blob. So yeah, thanks for that.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of like the fact that you didn't do a long exposure on this one because the reflection in the foreground is nice and crisp. I think you might have lost some of that had
Yeah.
you know, dragged the shutter on this one a bit. And you know the wave it looks to me like it might be coming in or
Hmm.
maybe going out. I'm not sure which. But it kind of adds you know, some crispness to the water as well. And I agree with Dave 100% about the planks. You know, bringing those out through dodging and that it perfect decision to make. I think it would have just looked so plain and blah if it was all too dark in there. So bringing that
Yeah.
detail out really, really helped. And the placement of the sun is just brilliant. It looks like it's dead center in the frame, but it's right between two of the legs of the pier, which is you know, pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah, that's another ripper of a photo, as Shane would say. And then Dave, this one's intriguing.
Yeah, this
Whoa.
was taken on another run. It's honestly, when I go on runs, it's the easiest way for me to see things. And the it was, the beautiful blue sky, moon was out, but we all know that the iPhone unaided sometimes has trouble with moon photos. So I just noticed that the if I just stood a certain way, the moon would just be perfectly framed by the empty branches. And when I took the picture, it's easy to get the branches in focus. The moon would have been very hard to get in focus. So I just kind of went with it and said, you know what? The Even using Shane's trick of taking a video and using a screenshot from the video and getting the moon just right, it's still not crisp clear. So I just went with it and said, you know what? If the moon's going to be blurry, I'll make it like have it a depth effect, like a portrait mode. And that way the branches will be nice and clear and the moon will just kind of be in the distance. So kind of going with the limitations of the camera.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
like the way you thought out of the box on this one, Dave, because
Yeah, thanks.
most people would be trying to focus on the moon, and you went 180 degrees and framed it with these branches that were in focus. And I knew I knew it was a moon as soon as I saw it. But I thought that's a really kind of a neat artistic approach to this one, and I think that square crop works perfect with it. So yeah, I like this one. Good job.
Yeah, thanks. Now I will say I
Yeah.
did try to get the moon in focus.
Mm.
So it was like, okay, let's see if I can zoom in, and I hit the screen and I try to get it right there, and it just was not working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the phone probably probably thought you wanted to get the branches in focus and
Yeah.
was just being persistent. But um, Gary says frame within a frame, foreground focus is okay for moon to be soft. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
I agree.
agree.
And
Um,
honestly, this is the advantage of stick season. The steal Matt Hoffman's phrase.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
if
that's
if
right.
this was spring or summer or fall, there'd be leaves on that tree, and it would just be blocked.
Yeah, I really like the framing, and I think it's so cool that we could see the moon in the middle of the day, or whatever
Mm-hmm.
time this was taken. Um, oh, we got another comment from Maurice. Like Dwight said, we all know it's the moon. Nice approach. Yeah, exactly. There's no mistaking that it's the
Mm-hmm.
moon, and I really like the framing. It doesn't look out of place at all, and so basically, Dave, this is a happy accident.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Happy. I would say a happy accident. Just a matter of I happened to be walking in terms of the run, so it was at like the. I just got to a top of a hill and was like, okay, I'm gonna walk and catch my breath, and just looking up while I'm catching my breath and happening to see the moon right there in the trees and going, well, if I Move back a little bit. Can I get it where the moon's right in the middle there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Maurice says, great images from all of you. Thanks, Maurice. Appreciate it. Um, we really like doing this segment, um, because it gives us a chance to tell a story, and that's like I said a couple episodes ago, I want to get into more of that, and this segment helps me with that. What I need to do is do it out in the field a little more when I'm composing a shot, um, but just the story of this being a happy accident and turning out as well as it did, it's pretty cool. So yeah, so well, that's our recent photos, and we appreciate the comments on them, and uh, we're happy that people are liking this segment. I haven't heard any complaints about it, so that's a good thing. So we'll definitely keep it going. But um, well, I don't think I have anything else to add to the program. A couple of ideas that I've had in mind for future episodes is, um, let's see here. Okay, best place for sharing photos. Oh, we just did that one. Um, I'd like to see maybe an episode on shooting manual. For those who want to try manual focus, manual shutter speed, manual ISO, and how to work with those. Um, but I'd also like to see, and you guys chime in. I mean, with ideas here by all means. But I kind of like to maybe do an episode on how to capture reflections, since we had a few of them tonight. That might be a good topic. So uh, we're always looking for ideas. So if you're watching or listening, um, you know, drop something in the comments, or drop us a line through socials or whatever, and we'll make a list. I don't know if yet, in case you haven't noticed, between the three of us, we could probably talk about anything. Because we do love talking about this stuff. So
Yeah.
um, yeah. So anyway, you could find us online, or all the links are in the show notes for where we are. And you know, thanks everybody for playing along online on YouTube tonight. And oh, before you go, YouTubers, stick around, because Dwight's going to show us how he does his backup thing. But so for audio listeners, this is the end of it. And if you want to see that segment, go to the YouTube video. It'll be near the end. And so thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, so I'll go ahead and present.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, share screen. Okay.
There we are.
All right, so I showed this picture in our last podcast. So this is just in the photo library. And then the first thing I'll do is I've got all my folders over here. So this is Laguna Beach. So I would take it. So this is, I'll just put it in the regular file. The problem is well, I guess it is still a raw file. Here we'll just do Crystal Cove. Okay, so it's still a raw file here. Now, if I take this and I drag it to, my iCloud, to iPhone photography, Laguna Beach.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see, I'm just going to go to a list. Crystal Cove. Let's see, date modified. Okay. Let's just do icons. All right, so if I bring this over here, you see it's not a raw file anymore. It's a JPEG.
Okay. It's then
So
okay. So what you have to do is
yeah,
in
you have to
photos,
yeah, you have to go to photos, you have to go to file, export, export
unmodified.
unmodified photo,
Yeah,
and then
and
I'm
then
going to put it
there
in my
you can navigate
desktop.
to that. Well, you can
Right.
navigate right to that folder in iCloud, couldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could have, yeah. But right here, I've got it here.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I would do is I would now take it from here and drop it into my Laguna Beach folder, and that'll preserve the settings, right? The
Yeah.
way around this is airdropping all of the photos right into this desktop in
Hmm.
their original resolution. Then I can drag it to here, and then I'll just show you. I'll show you P Cloud here just real quick. So here's P Cloud, and if I go to Laguna Beach, I go to. I don't need to really go to a folder. So now what I do is I'll just take this thing and just drag it right here.
Okay.
You'll see right here that it's done. Now, if I take, if I have a bunch of photos from Laguna Beach, I would just grab them and pull them all over here. So yeah, I mean, that's real simple. It's, and then once a month I'll take my photos. Let's see. I'll take all of my photos like this, and then I'll drag them down to my external hard drive and just, keep updating them down here, for redundancy.
So you're just copying them over though, right? You're not moving them. You're copying over.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So I just wanted to show that. So hopefully
Yeah. Well, that's
that,
cool.
that makes more
Now,
sense.
Dwight, real quick question,
Hmm.
because I know some people will back it up to, like I said, do a monthly backup of their hard drive,
Hmm.
and then take that hard drive and take it like to a bank um, security box,
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
and then just kind of rotate out whatever hard drive they have in that box. So, like I said, having that backup that's off-site,
Hmm.
and or maybe put the backup in a fireproof safe.
Right.
Which unfortunately, people in your area, not you, I know, but people, you know, around the area, at least in California, have had to worry about of, if there's a wildfire that comes through, or,
Sure.
like even my area where probably not my house. Hold on, cat.
I've had to go on mute a few times. They're going after my legs.
Well, we almost had two cats passed each other, so I'm surprised they didn't try going after each other like 3 feet away from my face. But our area occasionally gets flash flooding.
Hmm.
I'm on a hill high enough that if I get flooding that isn't like a heavy rain flash flooding, but like river flooding, we got bigger issues than the flood.
Sure.
Sure,
Given
yeah.
I'm like 100 feet above the river. But there's still people who have flash flooding. Your basement can flood, or something could happen that you just can't say, oh, I have it detached from my computer so it's safe, but I have it next to the computer, or I have enough. If you're trying to be extra safe, get a fireproof safe,
Yeah.
even if it's in the same room. At least it's
Yep.
something, because if you have to bug out of a house,
Hmm.
you grab yourself, you grab your loved ones, you give kids, pets, maybe some food and water for everybody, and you get
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. You're not
For
going to be
us,
able to
it's
carry
going
a
to
40
be
pound safe.
for us. It's going to be trying to round up our pets because they do not like the car, and that's going to be a disaster. So we're
Oh,
still trying to work out a plan on that. We're going to get shredded. So
yeah.
That our dogs wouldn't have a problem. I could probably easy get two of our cats into a carrier.
hmm
This one who's right next to me here, Leo, he would be an issue
hmm
because anytime there's commotion or something happen, he runs and hides.
yeah. Well,
So
all
I'd
three
have
of
to
mine
go.
do that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
our youngest black and white one, the one that went overhead, she's not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
But she's a year old, so she hasn't learned to be afraid of anything yet.
Yeah,
Luckily.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a cool cool strategy, Dwight. I'm gonna look at P Cloud. Just
I think I
because.
think there's a sale right now. I think when I went in there earlier. Yeah, but check it out.
Yeah, yeah.
pcloud.com.
Yeah, and I should have noted for the audio part, and maybe I could slip this in, is we'll have links in the show notes for all these different backup places. So check them out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I phrased that just so I could cut that out and put it in the audio somehow somewhere.
Yeah. Well,
But
P Cloud now says it's 10 gigabytes free.
oh yeah,
And let me go to individual plan here. So there's, and it looks, yeah, so 500 gigabytes is a one-time payment of $200 US.
Yeah, you only pay.
That's normally 300,
Yeah,
and that's good. I mean, the even the 2 terabyte 400. They do have annual plans, so if you only wanted, it's still $50 for a year
so right
for
now you
500
can get
gigabytes. That's really amazing.
right now you can get 2 terabytes for $279 US dollars one-time payment. It's normally 600. And then if you want to pay $799, you get 10 terabytes, down from $1890. I think the big thing, with all of these is what if they go away too, right? So you still need to have
yeah,
another way.
Oh no, agreed.
yeah.
That's why we said about like multiple.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for the live stream here. So thanks everybody for watching and staying with us for this long. And we hope we got something out of this episode for for storing your pictures and backup strategies and things like that. So I guess we'll end it here, and again we'll see everybody in the next one.
Thanks, everyone.